Welcome to Wednesday. It's the 17th day of January, 2024. This Day Weather Podcast brought to you by Hot Springs County Travel and Tourism. Reminding you with the cold temperatures and the snow at Thermopolis, you can always find yourself in hot water. Well, the weather pattern is going to stay quite active as we go through the rest of the week. I think over the weekend things settle down a little bit, but over the next 3 days, we're going to have a little bit of everything. First of all, it is going to be warmer. We saw temperatures beginning to rebound in many areas yesterday. That'll continue today. We are still concerned about pockets of very cold air trapped in some basins and valleys, especially along and west of the divide. And that's always something to watch out for after a big cold outbreak like we just experienced. But most areas will be warmer. A lot of that's due to the strong winds blowing along and near the I-80 and I-25 corridors and the higher mountain passes of the region. We're going to see some pretty gusty winds in many areas, from Wyoming to New Mexico out across parts of the southern plains. But that I-80 corridor, again, we'll see some really strong winds and some areas of blowing snow. Then we're going to see falling temperatures along and east of the Continental Divide Thursday through Friday, as the very cold air that has moved off to our east actually makes a trip westward briefly, but does come back westward, pushes up against the mountains, and produces areas of snow. And we'll show you where that's going to be. Also, we have a very active jet stream coming off the Pacific. This is going to be producing heavy mountain snow over the next 24 to 36 hours. So there's another good dose of snow headed towards most of the major mountain ranges along the divide especially. And this will help continue to boost the snowpack numbers, which have really gotten a boost here over the last week. Then things settle down a bit. As we get into the weekend and early next week, we're going to see the cold air go back to the east. More of a Pacific-dominated weather pattern means milder temperatures. But the active Pacific will mean some wet weather for you folks along the west coast. Now, as the winds have picked up, we have seen a lot of high and mid-level clouds and what we call lenticular clouds forming near the mountain ranges. So lots of shots coming on in of lenticular clouds over near the mountain areas of the west as the weather pattern beginning to evolve and change after the big cold outbreak. So there's a great shot there over Sheep Mountain east of Centennial. Then we also had some sunbathing out there near Lander. Every ray of sun in this cold weather is precious to get out and be able to warm up a little bit. And there's another great shot up by Cody of those lenticular clouds. Great shot there of those high and mid-level clouds as the winds aloft get stronger. This is really true when you see these Arctic air masses retreat. Those winds pick up and you tend to get periods of these lenticular clouds. Great shot there, some drifting there in the Leadville area and the mountains shrouded in blowing snow and wind after the system moved on through. And those high clouds also leading to some great sunrises and sunsets, and you can see blowing snow out here across the prairies. The satellite photo this morning shows a wave coming into the Pacific. This is the next weather maker in the mountains here over the next 24 hours or so. And you see more swirls, more activity out here in the central Pacific. And this is going to play a role, especially for the West Coast as we get on into the weekend. But this is going to be the main weather maker here coming up over the next couple of days. You can see the winter weather advisories and warnings. Couple of things to highlight. All the way down here to central Florida and along the Gulf Coast, these purple areas are freeze warnings. So getting pretty far into the panhandle of Florida, wind chill advisories continue for many areas of the Great Lakes. We have lake effect snows that are going to continue to bring heavy snow to some areas of the Great Lakes. Then look at all the pink and blue here across the Intermountain West. That's from that next wave coming in. And you see this area right here? Well, it started yesterday, continued overnight and into this morning. That moisture coming in, this is a radar image from early this morning. You can see that moisture coming in from the Pacific. See these pink areas here? Well, we have an ice storm situation going on right now. It started late yesterday, continues today. The Portland area and areas here in the Pacific Northwest, That cold air that has come in recently is being overrun by moist Pacific air, and this is producing an ice storm right here, especially causing some problems. Then if you focus in on Wyoming, you can see the winter storm warnings in effect from Yellowstone Park through the Wind Rivers along the Idaho border. Then we've got winter weather advisories along Interstate 80 for areas of snow, areas of blowing snow, especially here in the brown areas. And then if we take a look at the wind, these are the wind gusts through tomorrow morning. So you can see right along the path of that low, but also along Interstate 80. Strong winds also developing down here as well. Downsloping winds across the mountains of New Mexico into West Texas. As you get out further in the plains, wind is not going to be as much of a factor in that deeper, colder air. So very busy weather map this morning. We have these lows coming in off the Pacific right like this. Here is the very, very cold air that is going into across the eastern areas of the nation. By tomorrow, this is today, 24 hours from now, the tail end of the big cold air mass right here gets pushed southeast along and east of the divide, while there's a break in the weather along the west coast. There'll be a pocket of cold air sliding right down the divide southeastward. And as it does so, this is between now and Friday afternoon. We're going to have an overrunning snow event, pretty good snow out here across the plains. Then you can see the major mountain ranges going to get into another good swath of mountain snowfall here over the next 24 to 36 hours. Out here, with the very cold air coming on in, going to be some icy roads and highways and poor travel. Poor travel along the Interstate 80 corridor, south central and southwestern Wyoming in particular. And then you can see the snow and the wind over the mountain passes of the west going to be causing a lot of active weather. And that's the snowfall forecast through late Friday. Temperatures, if you see how they'll evolve, this is around noon today. You can see we still have pockets in the basin and the basins where it's still going to be very, very cold. But pushing up against the mountains and east of the mountains, though, there is a tendency to see those temperatures moderate a little bit. But this is where you can have pockets of cold air left behind. Temperatures by tomorrow. So this is around noon today. This is 5 p.m. Thursday. So look at that cold air coming right back in again from the north and east, pushing back up. Temperatures go back well below zero across Montana, northeastern and far eastern Wyoming and the Dakotas. And that's going to lead to temperatures falling again. But by the weekend, high pressure builds back in. The colder air is now focused more towards the northeastern United States. So we will see better weather this weekend with this high pressure. It's not terribly strong, but it will lead to warmer temperatures. As we showed you yesterday, very strong and energetic Pacific jet stream winds are forming by late this week and this weekend. This is going to drive Pacific moisture right into the coastal areas. So this is going to lead to, you can see these strong jet stream winds. This is by Saturday morning. So this strong jet stream energy, when it hits the coast, that air has to get lifted, especially as it gets to the Sierra Nevada. So this is going to lead to a wet period for the far west and the Great Basin states as we get into the weekend and early next week. This is the precipitation forecast through next Tuesday. So you can see the moisture spreading into Arizona, Utah. So you can see significant moisture coming in for California, coastal rain, mountain snow. Now what's left of the Pacific moisture will get to about the divide. So this will continue to bring snow shower activity to the mountain, to the Intermountain West through the weekend and into early next week. But it's the West Coast and the Great Basin states that will see the moisture. And there you can see the snowfall forecast through next Tuesday. Have yourself a good day. We will see you tomorrow.